Okay, welcome to the Cigar Box Guitar Builder and the first little lesson in the new studio. Okay, so a couple of things we've got here. We've got a couple of different sized cigar boxes. I've got one here which is a Romeo and Juliet, number 2. So it's a bit deeper. You can see the sides are a bit deeper there. And we've got the Bolivar, which is not as high a box. All right, so what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be shoring up the sides by putting in some bracing. All right, so a couple of things you can use for bracing, which I find very handy. The first one is just any bit of leftover square timber. This material here, which is rounded over, and it's not quite sharp on the corner, which can be really handy because not the boxes aren't always completely square, let's be honest. All right, so we've got our glue, lid back on, miter box, miter saw. So first thing we want to do, let's start with the slightly deeper box. Just going to get the measurement for how high that is. And I'm measuring this at 6.5 centimeters, which is about 2.5 inches. All right, so I'm going to get my measurement. Measure this here, 6.5. Now, I think it's important to do this, and the reason it's important to shore up those corners inside the box is it just gives it a little bit more strength. Now we're going to glue these into these corners here. So I am checking, I'm going to check each one just to make sure that they're not too high, because if they are too high, it does cause a problem closing the box. These are all actually very good, except for this one, which is still high up on those edges there. So I'm just going to use the bastard file. Just on the edge here. Try and do it away from myself. I don't know if I slip, I won't hurt myself. Let's check that. Oh, I'm happy with that. That's very good. And as I said, you can use cut-offs for this. I like using glue that actually works. There it is. That works. I'll clean that off in a bit. There we go. And on the bottom. Now, as I said, it's the fact that it doesn't have that point, it actually makes it fit and butt right up really nicely against the sides, because the boxes aren't always completely square. We'll just leave this now to dry. And it actually makes the box sound better too. See, this is rather interesting because the sides of these boxes are actually held together using small nails. And when the nails don't work, or they get a little bit loose, because keeping in mind these cigar boxes could be anywhere up to 10, 15, 20 years old, even if they're 3 or 4 years old. They may have been used for other purposes other than holding cigars. Could have been holding jewelry or whatever. But the nails eventually come loose. And then the only thing actually holding the box together is the paper, which has been glued around the sides. Now you can understand that's not very strong. Just going to close this up. That's going to close up really nicely. And I can put some small screws in there now to hold that and keep that lid closed. That's going to go really nicely. Now again, you can use the corners. I think if it's a situation like that, what I would like to do would be use a bit of sandpaper here, and I'd take just take that sharp edge off, and I would use this. Just pop that there, maybe you can see that. And I've also taken the paper off the inside of the box. So you'll see that I've taken the paper off. A lot of the times these boxes are actually lined with paper. So take the paper out, because if it's getting glued to the paper, it's not going to be very strong. All right, so let's do this way now. If you don't have a ruler, measure it up. Put it down, measure it up against the side of the box, and we can cut it at that point. There we go. Get the miter saw back. Now again, I'm not going to use this to measure. The simple reason being, I may have done that wrong. A little bit wrong, and then a little bit wrong, and then a little bit wrong, and then all of a sudden you end up with the last one being very, very long. That's lovely. That's going to go very nicely. So all of those little bits of timber that you've just got sitting around, don't throw them out. Use them. They come in really handy for corners, just for strengthening. Perfect. There we go. There we are. Okay. So you can use cut-offs, as I've done with this particular one, and something a little bit more professional, if you will, such as that. Now, don't close the boxes while they're drying, because if you've got a little bit of glue on the top, it'll glue the lid down. So keep your lids open. Just let them air if you're building a couple of guitars, just give it a couple of hours. They'll be fine after a couple of hours. Anyway, that's it.